Hello, what's up YouTube? Photographer Ronnie Sweat and Atra. In this tutorial, you are going to be learning skin retouching from the very start to the very end. And if at all you're a beginner and you want to learn how to retouch photos using frequency separation and how to easily color grade your photos, this is the best video for you. So simply like this video and don't forget to subscribe if at all you are watching and you're not yet subscribed yet to this channel. So you can see what we're going to be achieving by the end of the tutorial. So it's a before, after. You can see how we have been able to color grade and have even skin tones, and how we have been able to edit the photo and retain skin textures. So you can say before, after. So I'll just come and simply delete this so that you can understand how you can learn how to edit photos in Photoshop from the very start to the very end. So in order to edit this photo, you're just going to be using frequency separation. Remember, frequency separation is a skin retouching technique that is going to fine-tune the colors alone and also fine-tune the textures alone by simply dividing the image into two layers. So it is going to divide this very photo into the colors and also the textures so that we can edit the textures alone, and also we can edit the colors alone, so that when we combine both the edited textures and also the perfected colors, we can end up with a nicely edited image. So let me show you how you can go about that. So you can say this is a photo that we are going to be dealing with, and if at all you'd love to get this photo, you can search on Pinterest, or I could include a link for you to download or save this photo. So this is basically for educational purposes and not any kind of promotion. So this is the photo that we want to deal with. So in order to edit this image, we just want to first of all remove the pimples or blemishes. So cleaning up the image is going to contribute over 80% to your overall editing process. So you can start to have a couple of blemishes right here. So come to the background layer right here and simply press Ctrl J, or you can use Command J. And by the way, in order to import the image into Photoshop, you can simply drag and drop it into Photoshop, or you can simply right click on the image and you come to edit photo or edit with Photoshop. So I've created a copy from the background layer by pressing Ctrl J, or you can use Command J. So I'll just come and get the patch tool and make sure it is new selection mode and the patch is set to normal right there, and source is also selected. So after doing that, simply zoom into the image by using Ctrl+ on the keyboard. So in order to remove a blemish, you simply left click and hold down and you draw around the blemish and you drag that selection to a clean area that is near the blemish, and that is going to automatically replace that pimple or blemish with clean skin. Let me repeat this. For example, if at all you wanted to remove this blemish right here, we are going to left click and draw around the blemish and simply drag to a clean area, and that is going to replace that blemish with a clean skin. So you left click and hold down and you draw around the blemish and you drag to. So you left click once again and you drag to a clean area to replace that blemish with clean skin. So just do this and take your time as you're trying to remove the pimples or blemishes. Remember, this is going to contribute over 80% to your overall editing process. So, and the selections you have to make, or the blemish has to always be replaced by the area closest to it, so that you can have some kind of uniformity and you avoid those kinds of patches as a result of replacing the blemish with an area that did not deserve to be in that given area. So you can see this area has been perfected. So continue doing this. I don't mind if at all you leave out some blemishes, because we are going to be cleaning those later on. So do this and take your time while you're trying to remove the blemishes. So for purposes of the tutorial not being long enough, I have already removed the blemishes, and this is what I have been able to achieve for my blemish removal process. So after removing the blemishes, what we want to do, for example, if I told you had two layers right there, simply come to layer right here and simply come to merge visible, and you can merge those layers into one layer like I have right here. So after doing that, simply come to the background layer and create those two layers like I explained for you, simply press Ctrl J, or you can use Command J twice, and you can double click to rename that to color, and you're going to name the up layer to textures. So the texture layer is usually the upper layer, and the color layer is usually the middle layer. So after doing that, simply come and deactivate the texture layer and simply come and select the color layer right there. So for this step, we only want to remain with the colors in the color layer that has been selected. So just come to filter and come to blur and come to Gaussian blur right there, and take the radius all the way down. So you have to look for an area on the skin that seems to have more textures than the rest of the skin. So the most important step when it comes to editing using frequency separation is this first step. So just come to the radius and simply left click and start dragging up the radius, and you can see as you left click and you move this pointer, you can see the image starts looking a little bit blurry. So the emphasis of this, we just want to eliminate the textures of the skin from the low frequency layer. So just come to the radius and simply left click and start dragging this up to a point when the textures are just starting to disappear. So stop at the point whereby the textures are just starting to disappear from the image. So around 3.5, that is when I'm just starting to lose my textures in this. So stop at the point whereby you're just starting to lose out on the textures. So I'm just going to hit OK, select the texture layer now, come back and activate it, and you can see this image right here is an 8-bit image, and if at all you have a 16-bit image, I'll be showing you I can identify that in a bit. So you know how to identify if at all your image is 8-bit or 16-bit. So just come to image, then come to mode, and you can see the checked bit depth of the image is going to be the bit of your image. So I'll be showing you how that is going to be important in this very next step. So you have selected the texture layer, just come right here to image and come to apply image. So when you come to apply image, it's going to open up this dialog box right here. So the source is going to be the name of the image, and just come and select the color layer, because this time around we just want to extract the textures from the color layer. So select the color layer, make sure the channel is set to RGB right here, make sure the blend mode for an 8-bit image, because we have 8 right here. Simply come and select subtract, opacity at 100%, preserve transparency and mask cannot check. The scale has to be 2 and offset 128, and make sure the invert option is not turned on. That is for an 8-bit image. So if at all you're dealing with a 16-bit image, if at all you have 16 right here, the settings are going to be a little bit different. So for the target options, this is where everything is going to be different. So just come right here to the blending and simply change the blending from subtract and change it all the way down to add. The scale has to be 2 and offset has to be 0, and simply come and turn on the invert option, and you'll see the textures on this gray kind of layer. So if at all you have 8-bit, I'll just change the settings back to subtract. The scale is 2, offset 128, and invert is turned on, and I'll hit OK. And you'll see the textures are going to be appearing on this gray like kind of layer. So just come to the blend mode and change it from normal and change it all the way down to linear light, and you can see the image is going to be displaying the way it was meant to be initially before. So after doing that, I'm just going to come and select both layers by pressing Ctrl, or you can use Command, and selecting both layers, and you can drag them into the folder icon to put these two layers into a group. So you can double click to rename these layers to frequency separation. So I'm just going to name this to frequency separation and hit enter or return. So after renaming this, you can see that there is no difference between the image and what we have right now. So what we are going to be doing in this case, we are simply going to come and simply hide the texture layer and select the color layer. So for this step, we just want to fine tune the colors or the skin tones of the image. You can see that we have varying skin tones in this case. So you have a couple of skin tones falling around the place. So with these skin tones right here, we are going to come and first of all perfect the skin tones or skin color. You can start to have uneven skin tone transition. You can see on the cheekbone right here, we have varying skin tones. So we're going to come right here and we select our mixer brush tool. So you can come under the brushes, right click and get the mixer brush tool. You can simply come right here and select the mixer brush tool. Mine is just down there. So for whichever tool you select within Photoshop, the settings are always going to display right on top of this panel right there. So for settings, make sure the brush is as clean as possible, and also make sure clean the brush is also selected, and the weight has to be 9, load 75, mix at 90, and the flow of 100%. Make sure sample all layers is not turned on. And after setting the brush, and by the way, make sure the hardness is set to 0. So after doing that, you have to come and start blending the colors within the skin tones. So you can say brush is displaying right here, and if at all the brush is showing a plus icon, you can simply press the caps lock key to deactivate that. So to increase or decrease on the size of the mixer brush tool, you can use the open and close brackets on the keyboard. So what I'm going to be doing, I'm just going to make sure the image is zoomed relatively out. Don't zoom all the way in, zoom out a little bit and retouch at a distance. So make sure the brush is as small as possible, because we just want to use a small brush to mix or even out the skin tones. So I'm just going to reduce on the size and come and mix this area. So to mix a given area, just come left click and hold down with the low frequency layer or the color layer selected. Just come left click and hold down and you brush just like that. So to mix a new area, you release the left click button and you left click once again and you mix a new area just like that. Come to this area and also blend that. You can see this is creating even skin color or skin tone transitions. And while one color is transitioning from one color to another, reduce on the size and mix that color to create a nice and smooth transition amongst or between those colors. So I'm just going to come and mix those colors just like that. So I'm just going to come and mix just like that. Continue mixing. So you can see these colors that were existing in this area have been blended. Reduce on the size if at all you are mixing a smaller area by using the bracket keys like I said. So mix those colors just like that. Increase on the size and continue. And by the way, the strokes of the brush I'm making are following the way the pattern color of the skin are moving. So you can see I'm following this kind of direction. So moving from this is following this cheekbone direction. So just come and mix those areas just like that. And just like that, you can see the colors are looking to be uniform. So when you come and return on the texture layer, you can see before, after, we have been able to even out the skin tones or the skin color. So turn this off once again and mix those areas just like that. So mix every area that has skin. So when it comes to the nose, reduce on the size and mix just like that on the nose area just like that. The nose is moving from up to down. So I'll move the strokes of a brush in an up down direction. So I'll just be blending just like that. So you can see this is going to create a smooth or smoothness within the skin. So I'll be doing this. So let me just do this quick so that we don't spend a longer time on this tutorial. And like I said, keep on playing with different sizes of your mixer brush to have the best results. So I'll just zoom out and look at the image at a distance. And this is going to help you retouch faster as opposed to zooming all the way in, because by doing this, you cover a big space within a short period of time. So I'm just going to be doing this. Come the neck area and also blend the skin even on the shoulder area. So keep on checking on the progress of your image. So just come and turn this on and you can see before after what we have been able to achieve so far. So this is the before after, and now we have even skin tone transitions, and we have been also able to retain the original skin details or skin textures. So you can see this looks fine and perfect. So after doing that, remember we may have missed out on some blemishes within the image during the very first process. So just come and select the texture layer and get the clone stamp tool right there and simply change it to hardness of 0%. The blend mode has to be normal, opacity and the flat 100%, align the selected, and the sample has to be current layer because we just want to deal with the blemishes that are part of the currently selected layer in this case, which is the texture layer. So zoom all the way in and remove these remaining blemishes. How the clone stamp tool works: you hold down the option key on the keyboard if at all you are using Mac. Then for Windows, it is the alternate key on the keyboard, and left click to sample a clean area near the blemish to copy it, and release the left click button and click over the pimple or blemish, and you can easily remove that pimple or blemish just like that. So right now we are trying to clean up or remove the blemishes that may have remained as we are trying to remove the blemishes in the first place as we are using our patch tool. So I'm just going to be cleaning this quick because I don't want the tutorial to be a long one, but I just hope you understand how everything is falling into place. So zoom out to locate the other blemishes and clean them up. Command minus and increase on the size of the clone stamp, and you can clean them up just like that. So right now this is what we have: the before after. Let me zoom in a little. So this is the before after. So right now let's work on evening out the skin tones of the model. So in order to even out the skin tones, just come right here to the adjustments and simply select gradient map, and it's going to apply any random color. So if I told you have any other random color displaying over the image, don't mind about that. So after doing that, just come and hide the gradient layer and select the gradient icon. So make sure this icon is selected and not the layer mask. So make sure the gradient icon is selected. So just come right here and left click on the color option. It is going to open up the color or the gradient editor tool. Make sure you change the sample size to 5x5 average right there, and simply left click on this pointer. So this one is going to represent the darkest point of the skin, and this is going to represent the brightest point or the brightest color of the skin. So left click on the darkest point of the skin and left click on the color option and simply click on what you feel is the darkest color of the skin, not black but darkest color of the skin, and hit OK, and come to the brightest point and left click on the color and you click on what you feel is the brightest point of the model skin. So I'll use this as my brightest point and hit OK. Click in the middle, type the location 50 and left click on the color option and choose what you feel is the midtones. So I'll use this as the midtone, hit OK, and simply click OK. So after doing that, just come and activate the layer once again, change the blend mode from normal and change it all the way down to color, and select the white layer mask and simply press Ctrl I, or you can use Command I on the keyboard to invert the effect. Right click under the brushes and get the brush tool and make sure the hardness is set to 0% and soft round brush is selected, opacity and the flat 100%. Make sure that you have black and white on these two color swatches. So if I told you have any other random color, you can simply press D on the keyboard and it is going to reset, or you can simply left click on these two tiny squares right there and it's going to reset to black and white. So make sure white is the foreground color because in Photoshop white is going to reveal and black is going to hide. That is why the effect was hidden behind this black mask. So with that, simply come and paint on only a skin. So you're using a white brush to paint on the skin. Don't mind if at all it is turning to look a little bit orange because we are going to be perfecting that. So just paint on the skin just like that. reduce on the size and paint on each and every area that you feel should have skin and should have that kind of uniform skin tone. So I'll just come and paint just like that. So take your time while you're doing this, and if at all you make a mistake, and if at all you don't, or you shouldn't have painted on a given area, switch the brush back to black and you can erase or eliminate the colors from the areas you did not want to be affected in the first place. So after painting right there, you can see it is looking a little bit oversaturated. So let's perfect that. So just come the opacity and reduce on the opacity to your liking. So around 51. So before, after. Then we are going to come to our hue and saturation adjustment layer right here. And you can simply come and play around with the saturation values. But make sure you have set the clipping mask so that the effect can affect only a skin. So you're just going to take the saturation down and take this up slightly. And you're going to come to our lightness and you're going to take the lightness down a little bit. And just like that, we have been able to correct the overly saturated skin tone. So we're going to come to our selective color adjustment layer and simply come to blacks and take up the blacks just like that, around 3, and we are going to cool it down like that. So you can see before, after, we have been able to cool down the image. And the final thing we are going to be doing for this very tutorial is doing a little bit of eye whitening. So just come right here to adjustments and create one more hue and saturation adjustment layer. Come to the master, make sure master is selected and take down the saturation to around -71. Close this and press Ctrl I on the keyboard to invert the effect. Get the brush tool, make sure white is the foreground color. Zoom in by using Ctrl+ on the keyboard and reduce on the size by using the bracket keys on the keyboard. Paint over the eyes, or you can use the same technique for teeth whitening. Command- to zoom out. And right now we have been able to edit this very image and create uniform skin tones or skin color. So this is the image before, after for the retouching process. So if at all you feel like it is too saturated still, just come to hue and saturation and simply turn down the saturation to your taste or to your liking, just like that. So make sure that every area has been painted, because I feel like we didn't paint that area. So this is how you can easily edit your images within Photoshop. And if at all you have enjoyed this, simply like this video, and to export the image so it doesn't change in color when you post it or print it out, simply come to File and come to Export and simply come to Export As, and it's going to open up the Export As dialog box. Make sure the format is set to JPEG, quite at 100%. Resample is set to by cubic sharper because we want Photoshop to sharpen the photo for us. Then we also want come to color space and embed color profile, and also make sure convert to sRGB, select and simply hit export to save the image in whatever location that you want. And as soon as you're done saving, this window is going to automatically close and take you back to Photoshop. So this is it for this video, and if at all you have enjoyed this, simply like this video and don't forget to subscribe this channel. If at all you're watching and you're not subscribed to this channel, Ronix from Ronix Photography, thank you for watching. I'll see you in yet more videos on this channel, and don't forget to keep practicing and also keep creating.